I knew a dog named Maggie, used to follow me around my hometown. She looked like a wolf, she laughed like a hyena, she cast no shadow on the ground. All the stray dogs in my neighborhood barked and howled as I passed by, but Maggie never showed me her teeth, she never left my side. Maggie the mud is frightening someone for those that do not know. And Maggie the mud ain't nothing but a reflection of my soul.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episode 2 with Mr. Rusty Jones. And if you haven't caught episode 1, go back and listen to it now. I don't know what we're going to name. I don't know what we named it. I haven't named it yet. But the episode previous to this one is with Rusty, and we were talking about one of the legendary coonhounds of all time, Tipper, and how Rusty got his start and how he had met Jess Dickerson and some of the other gentlemen that influenced his hunting career early on. And what we're going to focus on this episode is his hunting career early on, because Joy Dog Food has a rich and deep history with the Professional Kennel Club and their youth program. And with the youth hunts coming up, we have, I know this is May. This month we have the Trader Inc. Youth Hunt in Forrestal, Missouri. We have the Missouri State Youth Championship that same weekend. May, I believe 27th, 28th, something like that, is the Louisiana State Youth Championship that Joy's sponsoring. And I'm lucky enough to be able to attend all those events. And Rusty is what PKC and Joy did together for the youth when you were coming up, Rusty, I think was a story that needed to be told.
Absolutely.
And we're, like I said in the intro to this podcast, in the very first episode, Joy has always been a big proponent of working dogs. And we spend a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources promoting this stuff. And not because we think it's good business or we think it's that, because we love it. As a business and as a company, we love it. And so Rusty was one of the lucky ones to, and you've told me numerous times, Rusty, that Joy paid for your college.
I bought a pretty good chunk of it.
Yeah, you know, so that's something that we're proud of, and we're something we want to bring into this podcast. And when we're talking about Joy Dog Food, and this would have been what, 97, 98, 99, somewhere around in there?
It'd have been 98, 99, 2000, 2001.
Okay. And so you got in the finals of the Youth World Championship.
98.
In 98. And then you continued, you were 14 then. And so then you continued to hunt the youth division for 4 more years.
That's what kind of, lit that fire. And it's what kind of, sometimes you need something like that to show yourself that it'll give you that confidence.
Yeah.
And that kind of did it. Because that was stiff competition.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back, I mean, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I mean, really. But it was fun to experience it, and I love watching that video because Alan Rambo videotaped that whole final cast, and it's funny. I got that TRX 1000 strapped to my back. I got that belt light. I'm ready to go. And
you were what, 15? You were 15 at the time. And you mentioned in our last podcast the other 3 finalists in the finals of the Youth World Hunt with you that year, which you finished second. Go ahead and name them off again for us.
Scotty Lofton got 4th, Drain Link got 3rd, I got 2nd, and Justin Jackson got 1st.
And what all, for second place in the PKC Youth World Championship in 1998. Is that what you said it was?
Mm-hmm.
1998. Did you receive as an award?
There was it's a $2,000 scholarship, and then half at that time it was half cash.
Yeah.
So $2,000 scholarship, $1,000 cash. Danny Hamby, that Hardin Club.
Yeah.
Those guys always threw in something extra.
Yeah.
Basil Kittle, Bandit Lights always donated something, a light. I mean, he, all those guys. But that was kind of the infancy of the, and it's nice seeing people focus on, because that's where it's at. I mean, you.
I don't know. I need to get with Roger Dale and Shane and the folks at PKC to talk about the history of the Youth World Championship, because I'm not exactly sure when it started.
I don't know. I know Adam Donovan and Billy Bell used to terrorize it.
Oh yeah,
goodness,
Justin Caldwell.
Can you imagine him?
Oh yeah,
those jokers.
I know. We were down. Mr. Guy Manning was down at the Lone Star Shootout a couple Februarys ago, and he was talking about Duran and Caldwell and all them guys that are about the same age and how miserable they were in a cast. Yep. He said that those kids would beat your brakes off, if you weren't watching.
That's right. That's right.
So the competition was stiff, back then.
It was.
And there's youth programs in all the major kennel clubs.
There are, and like you're saying, now they kind of separated out. But at the time, I was hunting against, like I said, Brian Bachman, Rick South, and Eldon Court. That's just three names. I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna give you nothing. If you win it,
Yeah.
you win it. Jeff Jackson, all those guys. I mean, if you win it, you win it. But I'll be damned if they're gonna just hand it to you.
Oh yeah. It was rough.
But that makes it, it makes it worth something.
Yeah.
When you do, it really does.
Did you get one of the Joy coats?
I had two of them. I gave. I've still got one. I gave one to a buddy of mine.
Yeah.
A guy that bless his heart. He's a plot hunter.
Only way he was going to get a coat is if you gave him one.
And he put his NPHA National Plot Hand Association sticker over that joint. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Oh man!
I'm like, "You just desecrated that coat." And he, but no, yeah. Wick would give, coat. They had that nice luncheon. JC, everybody would give out stud fees, and then they'd have a drawing for those. It was just nice. I feel blessed to be able to see how it progressed.
Yeah. And
even though I was in the, saw it at the early stages, it was really nice to see it progress, because that's where it's at.
When we talk about sponsoring youth hunts and doing youth hunts and stuff like that, and I just racked off a lot of names that come up about the same time you did and I did and things like that. Now, I was 19 or 20, I think, before I became a PKC member, so I didn't participate. I was hunting UKC at the time. I didn't participate in any PKC youth stuff. I think the first UKC cast I spectated with you out at Walker Days in Brazil, Indiana, when you were hunting Tipper. Me and you got in the truck, and you were 16, and you were hunting Tipper against these poor little children that had no business being in a cast with you.
I think it was in DuQuoin.
It may have been in DuQuoin. It may have been in
DuQuoin.
DuQuoin.
Yeah.
But
I remember that.
I remember because we talked about Tipper on the last episode, but I'm going to tell my Tipper story. And we turned loose. Remember, there was a little kid, couldn't have been but 9 or 10, and he was hunting a dog called Clyde. Good dog. Real good dog, but treed coons as he come to him. And we cut loose, and of course Tipper strikes for 100. And she gets out there about 100 yards from us.
I remember twice.
Yeah.
That I didn't get a first strike.
Yeah, it wasn't often with Tipper. But she's out there 100 feet from us, 30 seconds in, or probably not even that, 10 seconds in, she starts barking. You strike her for 100. Clyde strikes for 75. Right in that pretty much general area, he floats left-handed. He goes maybe 300 or 400 yards, bang, he trees on a great big oak. I can't remember.
Good.
He done a good
what you
job.
Want.
Yeah, I think they found a coon. I can't remember. But as we took that left to go towards Clyde on the edge of that field, we could barely hear Tipper, and she was straight in front of us. And I remember looking out across this wide open bean field where she ran, and I'm thinking, that dog's crazy. You know, this is the first time I've hunted with Tipper. And she's almost...
This is the first time?
This is the first time. And she's almost out of hearing that direction, you know, straight south. And we're going to call it south. And we go in and we score Clyde Street. Took us quite a while to find the coon. We walk them dogs off of it. And Tipper is the exact opposite direction of where she just was, on the other side of the road where we turned loose, and she's treed already. And then this is in 9 minutes tops. And so she had to been, I'm going to guess, at least 3/4 of a mile to a mile this direction. And in 9 minutes, she had made it 3/4, I'm guessing about 2 miles as hard as we walked, because the hunt was about over when we got to her. And she had 200 on that coon. And that was the end of the cast. And I remember that little kid saying, because he had drawed her the night before too.
Bless his heart.
Yeah, and we're walking, and his little legs are trying to keep up. And his good kid too, and his dad was a good guy. I visited with him. I told that kid, I said, you know, your dog did a good job. He goes, it ain't going to matter. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I hope I never see this dog again. I hate that dog. I said, which dog? He goes, that Tipper. Yeah, I hate her. That kid was so mad at that dog.
As I got a little bit older, I carried Avery and Billy Bell are two guys that I always looked up to a lot, and still do. That's two hard hunters. If they're either one of them is showing up in a hunt,
they got good dogs.
Yeah, I like talking to them. I don't really like drawing them.
Yeah.
And Avery's boy Dakota. He's probably in his 20s now. Yeah. But I remember he was tired, and he's like, will you carry me? And I was like, yeah, get on my back. So he hopped up on my back, and I carried him all the way, or I won't say all the way back to the truck, but a long way. And then we cut off to go to Tipper's tree, and then the guy had ended up, I think he had withdrawn or couldn't be beat, but he ended up going back to the truck, and that was another thing that sticks out in my mind. But there's a lot of stories with Tipper.
But when you're coming up in them youth hunts and you're hunting a dog like Tipper, you've already got a little bit of an advantage anyway.
Right.
But what PKC did for the youth, and we've been hard on PKC before in the past about rule changes or something like that, but their youth program is probably the best in the nation. And you're talking about Billy Bell, and we're talking about Justin Caldwell, and we're talking about you and me and guys that started hunting PKC when they're young, and a lot of them participated in that youth program, and they're still at it. Duran Link, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them, you know. And so, you know, we try to emphasize it, and I know Joy's done a good job of emphasizing the youth programs and the work that they've done, but do you think, you know, that propelled you into, because I mean, you're still hunting. You just got in December up there with Tyson and won a big $20,000 check. You still got dogs and stuff. Do you think that youth program propelled you to keep doing this sport?
It did. At that point, I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit burnt out.
Yeah.
Because I missed a lot of my high school stuff. You know, I was hunting every Friday and Saturday night. I was gone.
Yeah.
No football games. I didn't do any sports. I just hunted. I mean, I'd go to school, and one of my good buddies was an all-state football player. Still, I mean, he was the best man at my wedding. David Griffin. He'd always ask me, you know, how'd that hunt go? He didn't coon it, but he knew that how important it was to me, because that was my thing. But man, it was a lot of fun, and then I kind of got burned out. So I you know, got out of the youth hunts, but I was always interested in hunting, so I'd go down and stay with Jess. Yeah, Jess and I are pretty tight. So I'd go down there and look at the magazine. He'd always have, you know, Bloodlines, American Cooner, Pro Hound, and stuff like that. Even when I wasn't getting any subscriptions, I'd go down there and stay at his house and Jess sleeps in. I'd go out there to the living room, and he's got magazines laying all over the place, so I'd flip through them and just see what was going on. So then we go hunting that night. So I always had that fire, and then got, to I guess you could say just a different phase in life.
Yeah.
And it was, I don't know, a couple years ago, Jess called me, and we talk all the time, and he was like, man, there's this dude, Zach McBee, he's got this dog named Hunter, and I'm fixing to meet him up by Centralia, and I want to hunt some of your spots. Do you care? And I'm like, no. I mean, I want to go with you. So we go out there, and Hunter Tree's like, 8.
Hunter's a good coon dog.
Oh,
yeah.
That dude there, he ain't no joke. Mm-hmm. Bonnie either. And Zach's as good of a hunter as you'll find. He knows, what it takes. And he hunts.
Zach is one of those hard hunters. He reminds me of Jess 20 years ago.
Yep, that's right. He's serious about it, and that's what it takes.
Yeah.
To be serious, and not just doing it as a. I mean, you could do it as a hobby, but he takes it to that next level.
Yeah.
He really does. And there's a lot of, I'm just using him for an example, but there's a lot, other guys out there that do the same thing.
There ain't as many as we think.
Right.
Maybe 20.
Right. There's a few. Right. But he's one of them.
Yeah.
And Jess set the bar so high. I mean, I'm blessed, to have Dad that introduced me to it. Otherwise, I never would have met Jess. I never would have, done any of this if it wouldn't have been for him. But he kind of laid it out, and man, it's funny how things work out, throughout your life, and stuff works out for you, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does, and you meet people like that influence you in a good way. Roy Tramble, I had just turned 16, and Larry Meeks had just bought a brand new gray Dodge truck for Roy Tramble. I mean, Roy's like, at that point, and we ain't got no truck. I rode down there with Jess. I'm sure I did, and just took his. He's probably hunting tipper. He had to have a truck.
Yeah, you had to have a truck. He's hunting
a truck and a boat and a 4-wheeler and everything else. And we didn't have any truck to. There's like 4 of us standing around there, and Roy just looks at me and he tosses me the keys. It's a brand new truck, and he's like, take it hunting. It's just a lot of. That's the thing I love about it. The coon hunting family is the camaraderie. I mean, yeah, you get into situations where people don't see eye to eye, and that's no matter what what you do. But when it comes down to it, Roy saw that we, needed a truck. Yeah, I trust you with this, even though it's. I mean, the ink probably wouldn't even dry on the contract. He tossed the keys to me, and I made sure I didn't put a scratch on that truck.
I know I was talking with Nicky Hale a few weeks ago, and his episode's getting ready to air on Houndsman XP, but he told me that you can just flat get down into a dog fight in a cast with a man, and then 2 weeks later, if that man sees you're in trouble, he's going to help you fix your flat tire. He's going to help you, give you some money if you're down and out. And that's the way the coon hunting community has always been towards me, and pretty much towards everybody.
Right.
I know any time that we're going through a hard time in life, or we're struggling or something like that, and yes, your family's great and your friends are great and stuff, but the hound community always steps up.
Right.
I don't care.
Everybody wants to win in a hunt. We're showing up. We ain't showing up to donate. I mean, everybody wants to win, but when it comes down to it, take that aside. The competition part aside. still good people that want to, or not only want to, but will, help you out if you're in need. And that's important.
It really shows out to me doing what I do now. I travel. I may be in Texas one week. I may be in Minnesota the week after. And all I've got to do is pick up the phone and find a number and give a man a call and say, look, I got a dog in the truck. I need to go hunting. And I don't care if it's Aaron Crow or Barry McCune down in Arkansas or Brent Robertson down in Arkansas, or it's Chad Shima up in Minnesota, or, Brett Myers in Iowa, or Colin Stubbs, or somebody. There's always somebody willing to help me out.
Absolutely.
Always. And it's a nationwide network of people that just absolutely will bend over backwards to make you happy and treat you like a friend and treat you like family. So
that's why I save every coon hunter's number and put a little bit of info where they're at. Yep. That way, if I get stranded somewhere, I can call them.
Because you don't even have Facebook.
I don't.
No.
I don't do any social media. I don't.
You're smart. So let's get back to the PKC youth world.
Yep.
And you've told me many times that scholarship helped you through.
It did.
Yeah. And where'd you go to college at?
I went to college at the University of Missouri. Well, let me be honest. My grades were not good enough to get into.
Yeah.
That's why I went to community college.
Yeah.
Mobley, MACC, Mobley
Yeah.
Community College for
Yeah.
a couple of years, and that was a good thing because I just wasn't focused. No,
Yeah.
I'd have gotten smoked if I went to. I'd have flunked out. And
Yeah.
so I went there for a couple of years, and I had a good professor, and I used that joy money. Chip, Mike.
Yeah.
Before he, man, I broke my heart whenever I heard about Mike getting killed in that car wreck. It really did, because that was a good man.
Yeah.
But my mom kept all the receipts and Chip's like, yeah, you got this much money, you can use it for anything, books, tuition, gas, pencils, pens, anything you want. He's like, well, it's secondary education,
right.
Or post-secondary education. Anyway, so we're sending receipt. My mom is keeping track, like to the penny. And Chip sending receipts, and Chip's like, yeah, it sounds good. Here you go. Here's a check, and writes it out and sends it back to her. Finally, he's like, look, just stop sending, itemized receipts and all that. He's like, just tell me, here's how much you got left, and here you go. And I used every penny of it.
Yeah.
So I went to Mobley, and then I transferred to University of Missouri, and I majored in electrical engineering, which is amazing for Peckerwood from Audrain County, but and coon hunting taught me, it taught me a lot of things. Effort is one of those things. I wasn't the smartest person. I mean, I could figure stuff out if you gave me enough time. But effort is one of those things that you cannot, either you have it or you don't. Maybe you can learn it along the way, but you need to try, hustle, get out there and try. And you'd be amazed at what happens if you do that. But it was Mobley was easy. Mizzou, I got put on academic probation my first semester there. It's a true story. And that was like a slap in, but that's what I needed.
Yeah, you're looking at a guy that attended 3 colleges before he got done and was on academic probation in all of them, so you're not telling me anything I don't know.
This is how it is, man. I mean, this may not be the truth session, but this is the truth. And
my case was lack of effort. I wanted to go do college stuff that did not pertain to college.
Oh, yeah.
And so
there's a lot of distractions.
Showed. Yes, there's a ton of distractions.
And I got caught up in quite a few myself. I really did.
And one thing that and I've spoken to youth hunters, and I've been around youth hunters, and where the sport of coon hunting is right now, this is the first time in my lifetime, or probably any time, where there's always been paid handlers. And I'm working on a podcast on the history of competition coon hunting and how it started and all that stuff. And I've delved as deep as I can when I got time. But right now, I'm going to just run some numbers off the top of my head. I believe Dustin Weed won $240,000 last year just in PKC.
A joker there.
Yeah. And
He
Ward,
wins everything.
Yeah. Weed was the top. But then you got guys like Ward and Mark Gilmore and Tomiko and John Strickland and all these guys that are winning big in these hunts. And there's more money available now. And when we talk about effort and everyone says, well, and here I am, I work, 40, 50 hours a week. I do the podcast. I still try to hunt 2 or 3 nights a week, sometimes 5 or 6 if I'm trying to get a dog ready and I'm traveling with a dog. But we got to remember that these guys are doing this as a job now, and they're doing a good job.
Oh,
man, them jokers are winning. You look at who's getting in the pro sport truck hunts and who's getting in the pro sport big money hunts and who's getting in at the pro classics. And it's a lot of guys that are putting in a lot of effort.
And that's what it takes.
Yes.
Can they be beat? Absolutely.
Well, you bet. We beat them all.
Right.
We've beat them all at one time, but they beat me a lot more than I beat them because they're working at it. That's their job.
They're hustling.
Yes.
That's right. They are hustling. And that's what it takes is like you say, that effort, Jess taught me that from a long time ago, hunting hard and getting those dogs ready. I mean, like I said earlier, don't practice until you can get it right. Practice so much until you can't get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that. It's man, they'll frustrate the heck out of you.
Yeah. They will too.
But the cream rises to the top.
I was just visiting with Niall Bartling, and
That's
as you know, a great dude.
Oh, absolutely.
Niall just come off The Ultimate Fighter. He's a heavyweight MMA fighter that is going to do great things in the sport.
Yep.
And how hard he worked. And he said that he used coon hunting. Now, me and you don't compete in combat sports.
No.
And so...
Niall would kill me. I know Niall.
Yes.
He'd eat me for lunch.
That's right. Me and you would just be a snack to Niall. But he was talking about how he used hunting with hounds and coon hunting as an outlet because it put the pressure on the dog and it took some pressure off him. And there was a lot of truth to that.
I can see that, yeah.
But how I'm looking at it, there's nights where I don't want to go hunting. You're the same way. I've met your wife and your beautiful children today, and you got this really nice home, and we all know what the upkeep and all the work and all that stuff. And there's nights where you come home, the last thing you want to do is turn a dog loose. And it's rough, but there's guys that do it, and those guys have what we have plus a little extra. Right. And that's why they're winning.
That's right.
And we can't knock their effort.
No.
Because, man, it's a lot. It really is. And like I said, dog sports are awesome, but we're the only dog sport in the world that does it at night. Mm-hmm. So, it's a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of effort. And, it's hard to get, back into that after you take a break. But you managed to do that. You managed to do that with Tyson.
Man, I was always interested. I always wanted to keep up with what was going on.
Yeah.
I'd talk to Jess and be like, and man, I remember the transition when, dogs used to pack up.
Yeah.
Now, I hunted with Jess. I went spectated with him on a hunt, and these dogs scattered like quail.
Yeah.
I'm like, when did they start doing this?
Yep. About 2012.
Right.
11 or 12 is when they all started doing it.
Just everything out by itself. And if nothing else, it makes it easy to call the dog.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of pressure. It ain't a calling contest no more. But I did notice that. And that was kind of in the transition. I just was in a point where I couldn't, really have a dog. I was traveling a lot for my job. I did. I worked 2 years out in Hawaii.
Yeah.
A couple years out in the Bay, San Francisco. Traveled all around the United States and had fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I was out in Hawaii, and I'd see these guys with his dog box, I got my rental car, and I cruise up on him, and I'm like, what are y'all doing? He's like, we're running these hogs. I'm like, yeah, can I hop in there with you? He's like, yeah, come on. And,
That's awesome. I would love to go hog hunting in Hawaii with dogs.
yeah. This is on Kauai.
Yeah.
On the west
No
side
kidding.
of Kauai, yeah.
That's fantastic.
And that was, I mean, I'm like, I've been around dogs this is what, I need this, you know, this is like right there for me. So, it was fun, you know, and then you get to a point where, like I was saying earlier, whenever I hunted with Zach, and whenever I met Zach and Jess, and that old Hunter went out there and treed, you know, a pile of coons as he does pretty much every night. I was like, man, I can't take it anymore. I got to get a dog, which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because you wait a long time to get a dog that, you know. I hunted Bonnie for Zach. Zach got COVID. He was down for a month or two, and I don't want to say I begged him to hunt Bonnie, but he finally, I'm like, you can't hunt her. I need, you know, give her here.
Yeah.
Because that's a good dog. And Eldon, getting back to Eldon was the first, Eldon Cork, first person that told, this is in 1998, he told me about, or told Dad and I about the PKC youth program.
Yeah.
He said, man, you ought to get, you know, qualified for this hunt. You know, it'd be a good thing. And I remember the spot where we were at. It's, you know, certain things just stick in your mind.
Yeah.
And I remember the exact spot. Every time I drive by there, I think of it. I don't hunt there anymore because it's over in Amish country, and it's just hard to hunt over there anymore because everything gets chopped up. But every time I cruise through there, I think about that. And Eldon is a good ambassador for the sport, a good man. I love the way he does Bear Creek. Eldon's a good dude. But he was like the first one that told me about the youth hunts and kind of exposed me in a way to it, you know, or just like, man, this might be something that you want to, you know, this could be a good deal, and it was. And I'm thankful for Joy for all the stuff that they did, you know, paying for school, and man, it's when they teamed up with Wick and give out those nice jackets for everybody. I mean, that was cool.
The good news is that Joy's back.
Oh yeah.
We just picked up our sponsorship again for the PKC Youth, and you know, it's not just the tradition. I mean, I think I would be just excited if we'd never sponsored them before and we just now picked them up or something, you know, but the tradition's important. You know, it's a great history, and it's a great, I mean, first of all, it's a great program because that's the future of the sport, and we're all trying to promote it, and we're all trying to help it, and Joy does a fantastic job with that. But I'm just, you know, you get proud of your kids, and you get proud of your dogs, and I'm proud of the company that I work for doing it. Mm-hmm. I really am. And to have someone like you sit here with me that got to reap the benefits of that, you know, it's really exciting for me because you get to see it firsthand. You know, here you are, you're an electrical engineer, you got a good living, nice family, beautiful home, you know, all that stuff. And so to think that the company that I work for helped contribute to all that is important.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Without a doubt. They did. Was there a lot of other help along the way?
Of
bet. Course.
Yeah.
But it's what you're saying is the absolute truth.
Rusty, what's in store for you now as far as the coon hunting future?
Man, you know,
I see these little girls you got running around. I know you got your hands full.
Oh yeah, I do.
And I know just as well. I've been. My kids are 11 and 8 now, and when they were 8 months and 3, I didn't get to hunt very much.
And you know, they take priority.
Yeah,
they do,
of course, as they should.
As they should. That's right. You know that my daughter, you know, she's at an age where, you know, I go to a coon hunt and she's like, "Dad, I missed you last night," and she's probably just saying it, but it makes you melt. You know, it just
it does.
I'm
It
getting
does.
softer. You know, as you get older.
You do. Daughters do that to you.
Man, they do.
Boys do it too, but not at the level that daughters do too.
Mm-hmm.
My son's 11, and he's at the point now where he thinks that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you don't know nothing.
And so it's not as hard. It's not as hard to go coon hunting without him now, even though he does like to go with me, and I usually take him all the time anyway. But yeah, it's not as difficult. And when they're 3 years old and they got their arms out when you're walking out the door,
Right. But I try to hunt. Man, I've got a older buddy of mine that Mike Humphreys.
Yep.
He's got a good dog, Spook.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna be hunting him for Mike a little bit. Jess and I got a couple young dogs in the works. We'll see if I'm gonna let Jess get old Trump. You know.
Yeah. Just keep working on him like you did with Tipper.
Oh yeah.
Do you have a sister to Trump? Did you have one? I thought you did.
Yep.
What's she like?
She ain't as far along as him.
Yeah.
She'll get out there. With that litter of dogs, I think Kurt. You know, I don't want to give Kurt too much damn credit, but Kurt said it best. And again, I don't want to give him too much credit, but you know, some kids learn early, some kids learn late, and letting them learn at
The pace they need to learn at, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think some of these pups are a little bit slower. I know they got it in them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've hunted with Hunter. He's a country and fool.
Yeah.
And I've hunted with their mama, Honey. It's country and fool. And Jess had her, and if Jess tells me it's a good dog, I know it's a good dog. So they're not. Trump's starting early. But these other ones are, I think they'll be all right.
Yeah.
I really do. They don't stand around at your feet. They're looking to do something. Have they turned that corner yet? No, but they should be.
They're getting close.
That's the fun part. You know, that's the fun part of it, when they do make that switch and all that hard work and those frustrating nights that you put up with pay off. That's worth a lot.
Well, Rusty, I appreciate you sitting down with me, first of all. And I'm excited about, you know, what Joy's doing and where we're going with the youth program, and it's very good to sit down with someone, like I said before, that's reaped the benefits of that in the past. And good luck to you, you know, as far as your hunting goes and your work goes and everything else in life. But
I appreciate that.
like I said, you know, thanks a bunch. You know, you were very gracious, you know, allowed me into your home, allowed me to sit down at your table and record this with you. And we're going to get together. I know, you know, turkey season's over with, but the next spring will come. We'll have to go up there and we'll have to chase some long bears together or something.
It's turkey hunting, deer hunting, or turkey hunting, coon hunting. I'm sorry, I really don't care about deer. That's just sit in a deer stand and shoot, you know. But those two things are that's what I got so giddy. What, a week and a half ago, shooting I had to like stop and take a couple of like deep breaths and like pull myself together.
Wait till that little girl of yours starts.
Oh man, I'd give up 5 years of hunting.
Yeah.
You know, killing turkeys for that.
Because I guided turkeys for a while and I've hunted turkeys, and we had such a good population up there for a long time, you know, and now they don't do anything for me. You know, I've yet to kill a turkey myself in years. I don't know how long it's been, but Jace has killed a few. And when that bird's coming in and your son's got the gun or your kid's got the gun,
I love watching.
I'm a nervous. I'm just as bad as he is. You know, when that bird first steps out and you hear him go, I'm doing the same thing right behind him. You know,
Yep.
so
I was hunting with I took Boston.
Yep.
Jess has two boys.
Yep.
Wicked smart, Boston and Montana. Both good boys. I always knew they'd do something big. I just didn't know what it would be. But they're both smart businessmen. Do they care about coon hunting? No, that doesn't matter. You know, I mean, they do their own thing.
Yep.
And that doesn't bother Jess or Leanne. I mean,
No,
he just
and it shouldn't.
No,
No.
absolutely not. No. Man, I took Boston out he was probably 12. And it's windy, and we get this bird, and I set Boston up like right next to me, looking down this mode opening, and this bird comes. I thought he was going to come around this way. Well, he doesn't. He comes around as they always do.
Yeah.
Comes in a different way. And he's the only way could I have shot him? Probably. But there's no way that Boston can get his gun over there and shoot it. And that bird gets out, and I was kind of frustrated, or I don't say frustrated, disappointed, and Boston looked at me and he's like, man, that was awesome. I'm like, you know what? You're right.
Yep.
That was awesome.
It was awesome. There you go.
But that's the outlook you got to have, and it's...
You'll know when you take your daughter up there, because there's going to be... Jace has missed. He's killed 3 birds, I think. 2 or 3. And probably missed 25-yard chip shots at least 10 times. And one thing, credit to my son, he's always excited even after a miss. He goes, man, that's cool. Did you see that bird strut? Did you see that bird gobbling?
That's
man,
the
he
attitude
come in
you
on
gotta
a string,
have.
or he come in and he done this. And
That's
man,
the attitude you gotta have.
It is. So, and it's like that with everything. I don't care
Everything
if it's
in life.
turkeys or you lose a shootout cast where you treat 10, 12 coons or something like that, and you get
that
beat
drive
by a
home
court.
is kind of disappointing, but you reflect on it.
You look back, you're like, man, that was a shootout, and that was fun, and them dogs look good, and what those animals did was impressive.
That's right. And Jess we never listened to the radio driving home. We'd reflect on it, and he'd want to know. We'd run through every cast on what happened. I mean, every single, almost getting a little bit too much in the weeds.
Yeah.
But that's how you get good at something is reflecting on it, and if you got in that situation, would you handle it differently?
Yeah. Me and Jeremy do the same thing, and we don't hunt together very often, but every now and then we'll drive to a hunt together, and we'll draw out and we'll hunt separate casts, and it's a 2-hour drive home from Troy or someplace like that, and that's all we talk about for 2 hours is what those dogs did.
Yep.
And you can recap a 2-hour cast in about 4 or 5 minutes, or you can recap it in about 4 or 5 days. It depends on how hard you want to dissect it.
Right. Depending on how that cast went. Yeah. How far in the weeds do we really want to get?
That's right. Now, when I get my brake speed off, it's usually about 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah. 4 or 5 minutes. But if I win big, man, I'm going to
tell you about every single call.
That's right.
That's how it should be. Yeah.
That's right. Well, thanks for joining me, Rusty.
Man, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to shut this off now, and we're going to go out. Man, it's miserable hot outside, but we're going to go outside anyway, I guess. But like I said, thanks again. Good luck to you in the future as far as your hunting career goes, and as far as everything else goes. And as always, we know you're feeding the dogs joy, so that keep doing that, and me and you'll keep being friends.
That's right. That's right. No, thank you, Josh, for swinging by, and thank you to Joy. I am thankful for all they've done and continue to do. I really am.
And as always, we're happy to do it. We really are. So this is Josh Michaelis signing off with the Fueled by Joy podcast, and we really appreciate you guys listening.
She'll never die of starvation, although she'll never eat. Maggie, the mutt, full of bravery and guts, and always at my feet. Her ribs are showing, her howl is long, but she refuses to die. Maggie will live 100 years longer than I. Maggie the mutt's always down in a rut, looking for some bone that she buried. Maggie the mutt don't get scars, only cuts. She loves me and will not share me. Oh, she loves me and will not share me. Tear me